everyone. We have tonight for our six-figure spotlight consultant, our upline, none other than the comeback kid, Christi Waller. Thank you so much, Christi, for joining us this evening. I really appreciate you taking the time away from your business and your family and just you doing you to speak with us. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me in here.
Of course. First, can you give us some of your background, some of your accolades? Some of the new people may not be familiar with just how awesome you are.
Oh, the pressure. Okay. So like she said, my name is Christi Waller. I am everybody who is watching this and in this group, watching us live. I am your upline. So where I stand as far as your upline concerned, if we start with the founders at the very top, under the founders is Taylor Kirby. And then under Taylor Kirby is Robin Frank. And then under Robin Frank is me. And then under me, some people who you may know who are also in your upline would be Lisa Hill. She's my personally sponsor. She started the business with me. And then there's Tyronica. And then it's Lanisha. And so I started this business. I actually had my 9-year anniversary on May 31st. So a couple days ago, I hit.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So my consultant number is 6442. That's it. It's a 4-digit number. 4-digit number. When I started, how I found Paparazzi Success was I've never done direct sales, never done multi-level marketing. I literally Googled ways to make an extra $1,000 a month. I was a second grade teacher at the time, and it was in 2012 during a recession, and we were being furloughed as teachers. So if you're not familiar with being furloughed, they cut my pay. And I have a master's degree. So if you're familiar with education, you get paid upon your raises come with degrees. So you get more money if you have a higher degree. So I had a master's degree, but my pay was cut down as if I had a bachelor's degree, but I still had to pay student loans. Student loans didn't want to hear that. Right. So I still had to pay them, and they increased our contribution to our healthcare. So we had more money coming out of our pockets, but less money being put in. And it just wasn't adding up. I did have a savings at that time, and it was dwindling. Like it was going because I didn't live outside of my means, but when you cut my pay, what's this supposed to do? So that Google search came up with a newspaper route, like back when, I don't even know if they do newspaper routes anymore, but like you have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, stuff the papers inside the plastic bags and go throw them at people's doors. And I'm like, I have a baby at home. That's just not gonna work for me. And so I found Paparazzi Success on a stay-at-home mom's website, and I was like, Carla Jury, I could do that. Like I figured I could make $1,000. I was confident that I could make $1,000 off my friends and family and the ladies in my school system, teachers who I didn't talk to because I'm an introvert, so I didn't really talk to them. But I knew they were a jury, and I figured I could get them to buy $5 jury. And that's how my journey with this business started. So since then, I have my team and I, including you guys, I'm now a Maven A-Lister. It's my second year becoming a bling boss. But it's my 3rd year making 6 figures. And what else can I say? I have hit Crown Club 25. I am about to hit Platinum LOP. So by the time we hit convention, I'll be at Platinum LOP. That is the highest Life of the Party that I have hit in my 9.5 years. Although Life of the Party didn't exist when I first started. So I'm sure one of these questions, I'll probably talk about that later, but it didn't exist. So I didn't have anything. It wasn't something to have a goal for because it didn't exist. And then once it existed, it was like, oh, that's great. You know, that's not my goal. And then eventually it became part of my goals. So now I've hit Platinum. So I think that's like my stats right there. My team, my downline is over 100,000 consultants. Wow. All across America. So I have touched my team, Cure the Most Bosses, which you guys are part of, has touched all 50 states, including Guam and Puerto Rico.
Wow. Wow. Well, we are proud to make up 10% of that 100,000. Once again, thank you so much, Christi. I can't thank you enough for being here. We know you're a busy lady. You have a little one.
8 months old. I told her dad, I was like 7:30. You got the baby?
So we will go ahead and get through this so that you can get back to her. So the first question is, what do you feel like your top leadership qualities are?
Well, I would say because I was in leadership prior to becoming in leadership with paparazzi, I left my full-time job of being an elementary assistant principal to do paparazzi full-time. And I've generally been, which is why I was hired. I remember the questions I asked my principal at the time when I was during the interview. What are you looking for your assistant principal to come in? Because different schools need an assistant principal to fill in a different thing. Like they usually want someone who has the strengths that are the opposite of the principal. And I didn't know her, so I didn't know what her strengths were. And she's like, honestly, I just need somebody who can generally do everything. And I was like, that's me. I was like, I can do this. And I started explaining to her my experience when it came to different parts of the school system or elementary school, which is where all my experience had come from. And so I feel like that's what I've brought into being a leader in paparazzi, which includes organization. I know how to organize people. I'm good at finding what people's good qualities are, and using that to the benefit of the team. My teachers in my school knew that like they eventually learned that's what it was. So they'd be like, you better watch what you tell Christi because she's going to use that in this school. And it was as simple as like just having a conversation, and a teacher may say, I love dogs, like I love animals, things like that. And so I'm like, when it's time to plan fall festival, I'm like, hey, Susie loves animals, so we can use her in this part of the fall festival. So instead of trying to make people into what I need them to be or to fit them in a box, I just took the box they've already put themselves in and using that to get whatever our whole goal is done. I've also been very good at seeing the big picture. People usually see things from their lens and they can't see the big picture. So they'll have a problem, especially in the school system, even in paparazzi. And what blends itself is that I was in the elementary school system, so I worked with nothing but women. So you bring me in a world of paparazzi and I'm working with nothing but women. And so in the schoolhouse, there's a lot of decisions that need to be made that in your individual classroom, you can't see. Or in paparazzi, in your individual business, you can't see the big scheme of things. Mm-hmm. So an example is when shipping gets put behind and people are like, oh, I can't get my pieces. And I understand that because your pieces run your business. But then I explained to them, our team, like everybody who's in here right now, last month bought over 6 million pieces of jewelry in 30 days. When you think about just our team bought 6 million in 30 days, and we're not the only large team. So that's 6 million times 6 million times, like that's 6 million 7 times. That's how many millions of pieces paparazzi has pushed out in 30 days. When you know that, which is the big picture, you sort of are able to back out a little bit and say, oh, it's bigger than me just not getting my 25 pieces that I bought to get active. Right. So that's those are my top qualities, is being able to see the big picture. And I'm good with numbers too. And at the end of the day, things come down to numbers. I mean, you might have a leader who's all a heart in and they love you, but at the end of the day, in life, things come down to numbers. And I'm good with numbers. And that's why I start with my business when I'm reaching out to business partners or looking at goals as a whole, or I look at the numbers and then I bring it down to the person. So I know your team needs this. You need 3,000 OV. Now let's talk about the people who can get you 3,000 OV. Do you have anybody who performs like this? Do you have anybody whose goals are to reach this that'll get you to that 3,000? So those are the things. Organizing, seeing the big pictures and the numbers.
Yes. And I'm so glad that you brought that up about shipping and broke that down to the big picture, because so many times it's so much easier to, like you said, look at it like my boxes are missing. Right. Like, huh? Yours and everybody else's. All right. What does your daily, weekly, monthly routine look like in order to plan your strategies to make sure your goals are met? I know that's a loaded question.
Well, I thought about how I could answer this. I'm not going to answer it by what I do now, because as a Maven A-Lister, my daily, weekly, and monthly routine looks very different from the typical paparazzi consultant. So if I say what I do, I feel like it's unrealistic. I try to tell people all the time, if you're a star consultant, it's great to watch me, but literally the moves I make are not the moves you need to make. I have a huge team who rely on me, probably a little bit more than they should, to do things. That means I do less of the things that you do. So, for example, you may be like, oh, well, Christi only goes live once a week. Well, that's not how often I went live when I was a star consultant, though. Well, I didn't even go live as a star consultant because Facebook Live didn't exist then. But
Right.
Premier Director and Executive Director, I went live and showed up online a whole lot more than I do now. So I was going to answer that from, because 70, 80% of the business that we're in are star consultants and directors. So I'm going to answer from what I did as a star consultant on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. And what I tell and suggested consultants is, when I was a star consultant and director, premier director, Paparazzi still put out those monthly emails about who ranked. Mm-hmm. And every month when that came out, I would look at who hit the rank that I wanted. And I immediately looked them up on social media and followed them. So when I was a star consultant, when that email came out about who hit director, I was like, okay, Susan Elizabeth, Martin's Kalalowski, or Debbie Parkins, like whoever's name was there, I went and found them on social media and I followed them because they were like not 5 steps ahead. They weren't executive producers and I was star consultant. They were the next step I wanted. So I wanted to see what were they doing that I wasn't doing or needed to do more of so I can get there. So that's what I did on definitely every month. I went and followed the people who were where I wanted to be. So not the big, the big elite consultants, or which they're, when I first started, they didn't even exist yet. But there were people who were premier directors and it was producers. I don't think executive director was a rank then. We have new ranks since when I started. But that was definitely my monthly routine, was following what they did. I partied. We didn't have social media back then, or I take that back. We had Facebook, but Facebook Live aspect didn't exist. So I did parties like during the week. I had a daughter who was 5 years old. If you ever see any of my old memories that I share, we had tents at bending events, and she was outside. I had my little open chair that I'd unfold and sit in, and she had her open chair that she'd sit in. The Starlit Shimmer jury was her jury, and she didn't play about it. She would set it up on her little corner. She had her corner of the table. Aww. And when people came in, if I would say something, she'd literally like give me the look like, this is mine. And I'd be like, excuse me. And she would tell them that this is $1. And this little girl, that she would be out there upselling little girls on the jury, like, that ring would go great with this bracelet. I'd be like, okay. But we were doing that on the weekends. We were doing that on Wednesday nights, Thursday, wherever we could find a vending event, we were out there. And then I did do Facebook parties, but it looked different back then. So Facebook parties were still done in Facebook events, but we were dropping back office pictures. So like for a 2-hour time period, I literally would have a laptop, a cell phone, and a tablet. And on one, they would be looking, I would be looking to see what they're commenting on, like seeing what they posted sold on. The other one, I would be loading more pictures on for them to comment on. And the other one I just had is available if I needed it. Which is literally the same thing you do now, except for you would go live in a Facebook event. It's equivalent to doing a wall drop, where you do wall drops. Some people do them in albums. I did that literally anytime I wanted to make some extra money. It was back then, 10 pieces was $50. And that was filling my gas tank up. Or that was, I had a basket party. So that's something I would do, which is literally a bag of jewelry with necklaces, earrings, and bracelets in it. And I would take it into work. And on my lunch break, the lunch break where I usually didn't talk to nobody, I'd be in my room. Now I was out talking to people because I was getting 10 pieces sold before I left my school that day. And then instead of running home to eat, to cook, I actually could go buy something to eat because I was strict on my budget. So if it wasn't in the budget, I needed to sell extra paparazzi to get something that was outside the budget. So that's what my daily, weekly, and monthly look. I talked to everybody. Literally today, I went to Old Navy, and the lady who rang us up was the assistant manager. Her energy was amazing. And we walked away, and I told my husband, I said, 1 second. And I went back over there to her, and I was like, listen. And she's from New York, just moved to Georgia, and has never heard of paparazzi. I added her as a fake. Yes, girl, never heard it. I thought when I said I saw $5 jury, she's going to be like, oh, okay. She was like, her face was like, yeah, okay, what's that? I was like, have you ever heard of $5 paparazzi? She's like, never. And I was like, honey, your personality, the way you just worked this Old Navy conversation we had right now, you would make a killing with this business. And I added her as a Facebook friend. I couldn't find her on my phone. So she left the register and went to the back and got her cell phone and added me as a Facebook friend. And I said, I'll be in contact with you because your personality would sling this bling like nobody's business. And that's literally what I did every single day, except for typically now there's a brand recognition. People understand or know more the $5 jewelry. Mm-hmm. Today, the conversation I had with her was what I was used to 7, 8, and 9 years ago, where nobody knew about paparazzi jewelry. I was the crazy lady trying to get them to do and sell and have parties with $5 jewelry. Brand recognition is a great thing now because people actually like, oh yeah, I've heard of it before. No, nobody's ever asked me to post a party. Or what does that mean? Or no, actually nobody ever asked me to join their team or to do it themselves, do the business myself. That was nobody was safe. I went to, if I was at a register and a cashier, everybody, you know that cashier, the one who's like, hey, how are you doing? Oh, this cheese. I never thought about buying this cheese. What are you going to use it for? You know that cashier who's actually talking to you? That personality right there is who you need on your team.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And I'm glad you gave that example of how easy it is to just talk to people. You know, I think sometimes we overcomplicate it and we're shy or timid or sometimes even ashamed to mention paparazzi, and just talking to somebody about how they are and how the business would be good for them. That's a good way to pull them into the business. So yes, that's a good note. I hope you all wrote that down. All right.
People, if I could add this one thing before we go to the next question.
Oh yeah.
Because people are like, oh, I can't talk to people. Me neither. Like by the time I actually say something, I have literally talked myself up to it. Like when I walk away from the register, what I tell myself is that person right there could be the next millionaire on my team. Am I going to walk away from them, or am I going to share this opportunity and change both our lives? And that's literally what I tell myself as I'm about to walk away. Like, cause I'm thinking to myself, like, she's not going to be interested in this, or she doesn't want it. I'm not above these thoughts. People hear me talking. They're like, oh, she got this. No. I still have these self-defeating thoughts as well. But as soon as they creep in, I tell myself that it would be selfish if I don't tell this lady about this opportunity, and it's an opportunity to change her life. And that is literally what makes me go back.
Yep. Don't be afraid to change people's life, because that's the bottom line with it all.
The line.
Okay. Did you do anything totally out of the box to help you build and maintain your team?
I don't think I did anything that was totally out of box, other than my box literally is introvert. Like I don't just go talk. So that would have been out of my box. But from what I've seen from myself, from team members, because I've seen a lot of women come in and out of this business. Some stay and rock it, some stay and come back, some stay, and some don't stay, they leave. We make it more difficult, but it really is a matter of just sharing the jewelry. If you even take the sale out of it, it's $5 jewelry. If you just put it in front of women, it sells itself. Yeah. If you're not putting it in front of women, then that's why you're not getting sales. And it's a numbers thing. The more often you put it in front of them, the more jewelry you're going to sell. And so I really don't think I did anything that was out of the box, other than there wasn't brand recognition years ago. And I kept showing up no matter what. Like I kept buying jewelry. I kept putting it in front. I kept thinking of other ways that I could do it. Other ways that literally I could get it in front of women. Because my thought process, because there's different ways you can be a success with this business. You can be a success you can be a 6-figure by just selling jewelry. That's never been my goal. That's never been my goal, is to sell that much jewelry to make 6 figures. My goal wasn't even to make 6 figures. But once I saw that it was possible, and I'm like, wait, if I'm making this much, and I just do this much more, then I can make this much. And that's literally what happened. I made $1,000. I was like, wait, so if I just do the same stuff more often, I can make more money. So I changed my goal to $3,000. And I hit 3,000. I was like, wait a minute. So if I do the same stuff and just some more, which is sharing the jewelry. And once you find a way that works, you keep doing that, but then you don't just stop and be like, oh, this is the only way I'm going to do it. You add another way to it. So like I said, I was doing home parties. So I can't wait for the world to open back up, right? Where people feel more, and some people already feel comfortable. So when more people feel more comfortable letting people in their houses, I feel like the home party is something that we should all be jumping on, because people are going to be happy to finally be able to have people come into their house again. And have people, because the extroverts, they've been dying throughout this time. Like they can't wait. They can't wait to have people over their house. And they may need an idea of how. And you offering the home party option to them would be a way for them to get their friends and family over to their house again, which is what they're going to be looking forward to. And then, I mean, sooner than later, people are going to be like, you know what? Bring them all over. So that I really don't feel like I've done anything that's out of the box. Now I will say this: when it came to building momentum, one thing that really changed it for me is up until executive producer, it was literally about me, building my team and getting more commission for me and getting more sales of juries for me. That's the honest to God truth. And when I hit EP, I realized that my growth was stunted if I kept thinking about me. And I literally changed and stopped thinking about me, because it becomes win-win. If I help other people win, I automatically win. If I change other people's lives, my life is automatically changed. And so from EP, I built momentum I was done looking at my numbers and my things. I literally started working with people because my strengths weren't their strength. And so I was helping them. A lot of consultants want it. They just don't necessarily have the leadership ability that I already had, right? They don't already have the organization ability that I already came to the table with. And so I started going and looking at my numbers. Who's already working the business and who already is doing the work, and who can I help take to the next level? Because I don't have to beg them to buy jury. They're already buying.
Right.
I don't have to beg them to go live because they're already going live. But based on their own knowledge, they've already hit their plateau. And if I bring my knowledge combined with their knowledge, then I can help them move to the next level. And that's what I did. That was my momentum builder, was stop thinking about me and what I needed for my business and how I wanted the next level, and started helping other people get to what they wanted out the business and their next level.
That's good. That's real good right there. I think with many consultants, it's easy to look at your numbers and what you need and not go all the way into the numbers and really pick apart, each person and what they need. And so that's, man, yes. Thank you. I'm so grateful for this interview. This was for me. It's for the team, but this was for me.
Glad I could help.
You always do, Christi. I have to give you that every time I tune in to, and team, if you do not know, Christi does trainings every Sunday. It's a Sister Talk Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and a Tuesday tea, which is at 9 a.m. Eastern time. I trying to put it in Eastern in my head. And I mean nuggets. I mean, the 20-piece nugget at McDonald's has nothing on Christi. She drops the knowledge. Yes. And every time your mouth opens, I'm like, give me more. All right. If you could go back in time with the knowledge you have now, what would you change or require yourself to learn sooner?
Direct sales and multi-level marketing as a business in general. I knew nothing about direct sales. I knew nothing about multi-level marketing as a business in general. And there are people out there who are gurus in this arena that if I had known, I literally was just the simple, like I say, you just sell the jury. And if I was a numbers person in that, I figured if I had more jury, I could put it in front of more women. If I put it in front of more women, then they would just lead to more women want to join my team. Like that was my thought process. But I didn't know how to specifically talk to people. Meaning I was getting a team, but if I knew what I knew Now, then I would have had a team larger, quicker. I would have changed lives larger and quicker. I would have been selling way more jewelry. I would have known how to upsell. Like, I'm not a salesperson. In education, I do say teachers sell education all the time and don't see it that way. Like, we're trying to convince kids to learn things that honestly, half of it they never use anyway. And we're trying to sell to parents the importance of their kids to go to, like, we do sales all the time, but educators don't necessarily see it that way. But if I could go back and do something, it would definitely be that. It would be learning what it means, like the importance of people starting their business and helping them get rid of the jury ASAP, so they can experience a win as quick as possible. Helping them get to the first rank of director, which is the core rank of our business, is director. If you can get to director in your first 30 days or 90 days, or it took me a year to get to director. What if I was coming to business now, or do I know how to help people now get to director way quicker than before? Because I was like, oh, it took me a year. I still turned out fine. You'll be okay. And now I'm like, no, let's wait. We need to win now. Like, it can be done like yesterday. Let's do it. So those kind of things about direct sales and the compensation. Like, I just didn't know anything. I just knew it was $5 jewelry, and I could flip it and make 45% profit, which is almost 50% on the dollar. So I was like, I need that, And if I could go back, I would have done research and knew about how direct sales works, period. How multi-level marketing works, period. How to, and I'm trying to think, like, what could I say that I've learned about direct sales and multi-level marketing, which is that what I said about the director being our company's core rank. And literally, if you hit that, you want, the biggest thing is when somebody comes into business, knowing what their goal is and helping them reach their goal and helping them be realistic about it. Because people come in and say, I want $5,000 a month. I can help you get $5,000 a month, but this is what it's going to require. Like, it can be done, but are you ready to put that much time commitment into it? Because you just can't say I want it and then it just happens. It doesn't work like that. Like, you can do it, but the people who do it, if you talk to them, they work. Like, they work. And it can be done, but I've had plenty of people come in and say, I'm gonna be impressionista. Oh,
okay, do it then.
Great. Let me tell you what it's gonna take to be impressed. We need to hit director yesterday. Premier director next week. Executive director the third week. Okay. And you need to be EP by month 3 if you're gonna hit impressionista in your time frame. So that's definitely it. I would have done more research, not about paparazzi, because paparazzi, since I've been in the business, I literally haven't found anything that's gonna beat our compensation plan, beat our product. Because in other companies, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir because you guys are already in the business, but that's definitely something I've learned is I picked the right business, that's for sure. So it's not like the grass is greener anywhere else. But I wish I would have known just how direct sales and multi-level marketing work. Because back then I would get calls at Premier Director from the founders, and I'm like, why are they calling me? And if I had known then what I knew now, is because wasn't nobody hitting PD. That's why they were calling me. Like, it was a big deal back then because nobody was hitting it. So they were calling PD, which is lesson learned, right? If you have a small team or medium team and somebody hits director, make a big deal out of that.
Absolutely.
When somebody hits Premier Director, you make a huge deal out, because they were making a huge deal out of me. And I was like, is it really that serious? But looking back, it really was that serious. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Last question. What lesson has contributed the most to your success?
I think it would probably be the one about, it's really the think win-win. In the 7 habits of highly successful people, one of the habits is think win-win, which is when you think about how the other person, how you can help the other person win, you win in short term. And that has contributed the most to my success. I hit Maven this year, and last year it was Fashionista and A-Lister. And then I spent 2 years, I think, at EP. But Fashionista, A-Lister, and Maven literally came because I thought win-win. How can I help other people win? Knowing my numbers, like, you help those who want to help themselves. So you don't win by trying to feed people who won't pick up the fork. Like, they gotta be willing to pick up the utensils if you're gonna put it on their plate.
Amen.
And so you win by helping others win. And that's what I've learned. That has probably been the biggest contribution to my success and what keeps me going. I mean, there's so many things I do in this business that I don't have to do. That's why I tell people all the time, like, because they'll come, I wish you were my sponsor. I wish you were my leader. And I'm like, and I tell them there's plenty of people who I am their sponsor, I am their leader, and they don't listen to nothing I say. But I do it because I know how this has changed my life. And I know how this has changed people who actually do the things they're supposed to do in this business, their lives. And so that's why I show up for Sister Talk Sunday, because I ain't got to do no Sister Talk Sunday. Or that's why I show up for Tuesday Tea, because I don't have to do no Tuesday Tea. But I think win-win. And that is, I wish there were people out there, because the business was so new, there weren't. I wish there were people out there who were doing a Tuesday Tea, who were doing a Sister Talk Sunday, that would help me bypass the learning curve that I had to go through to get to where I am now. And that's what I'm trying to help people do, is bypass that learning curve. Like, you don't have to make the mistakes. I'm telling you, that ain't gonna work. Don't do it. Or right. I'm telling you, this is what you need to do. Keep doing it and you're gonna win. So that is what I think has contributed most to my success, is thinking win-win. And I know this word, you guys hear it all the time, but showing up consistently. Like, that has been it. Like, I stayed up late at night. Like, how am I going to if my goal was 250 pieces sold at the end of the week, and it's close to the end of the week and I'm not at 250, how am I going to get it done? Like, it's not an option to not get it done. How am I going to get this jewelry in front of somebody else? I was set, Lord, I'm so thankful for Facebook Live, but I was lugging in a 4-seater car, not an SUV, jewelry like nobody's business, with a baby in the back. Ooh. Like, front seat was packed with jewelry, trunk, the back seat was let down so I could push boards through the front of, like, hot. Like, you know how the weather is, where it's cool in the morning time, but as soon as the sun come out, you burn it up. So we would start the day off with bubble coats and then be down to tank tops by the time the event was over. Like, showing up like that over and over and over again, even when, because my thought process was, if I only sold $20 for this event, I still got exposure. And that people filled out cards, and I'm gonna go home and follow up with those people who filled out those cards. I'm gonna hold on to those cards because they didn't say no, they said not right now. So I'm gonna follow up with them in 3 months, in 6 months. Listen, I was like in my feelings the other day because somebody requested me as a friend, and I asked her to join this business with me, gotta be 7 years ago. And we friends on IG. And I went to see her page, and she's consultant number 400,700 something. I'm like, and she didn't join me. But you know what? That's my fault, because I didn't follow up with her. She never told me no. It was more so of a not right now, because she had a baby, and I didn't follow up. So somebody else, because clearly I had opened her up to it. So it's probably easier for somebody else, because she already knew about it, because I had shown her. I had talked to her. I was in her face all the time on Instagram. So that follow-up, consistently following up and showing up, is definitely what contributed to my success.
You said a mouthful right there. Following up and showing up. That is so important. When we stop following up, that's when the statistics of us actually gaining that person just declines more and more. So I know we feel like we're getting on people's nerves and people getting tired of us, but you trying to change their life. So don't hesitate to.
One thing I say this is my thought process when it's time to do something, is I compare it to if I had a job, or most of you are still working a job for somebody else. If I was working for somebody else, would I still show up right now? Like, if what's bothering me right now, would I call in and use my PTO? If I didn't have paid time off, would I call in and risk not being paid at all? Like if I had a headache, would I still go to work today? Yes. If my stomach was hurt, would I still show up to teach them kids? Yes. If my kids get on my last nerves and I just finished crying because he broke my heart and he cheated on me, would I still show up to work? Yes. So all those things, and that's my barometer. That's literally because I work for myself. I do paparazzi full time. That's my barometer right now. Is if I was working for somebody right now, would I still have to show up to their job? Yes. So I'm going to show up for my business. When I had my wedding on this past Saturday, and my live day is Thursday at 12 o'clock. And I was going to go live on Thursday, even though the wedding was on Saturday. I said to myself, you know what, if I was working for somebody else, would I show up to work this week? Heck no. I would have took this whole week off.
Right.
And been doing my wedding. And I would have showed back up on the day after Memorial Day at work. So I told myself, I'm canceling my live, because if I was working for somebody else, I would not have shown up. And that's my test. That's my litmus test right there. And then on Tuesday, after Memorial Day, I didn't feel like doing the Tuesday tea. But I said to myself, if I was working for somebody else, would I have to show up to work the day after Memorial Day? And as an educator, I don't know if anybody's an educator out there, but we have what's called critical days, which means you can't, a day after a holiday, you can't take it off. You have to show up the day after a holiday. Wow. And so if I was in the school system, I'd have to show up to work on Tuesday. So I'm going to get my butt out this bed and show up for this Tuesday tea and do it, because if I was working for somebody else, I'd have to show up. And so that's what I would leave with you. Let that be your test. When you don't feel like showing up for your business, ask yourself, if this business was my full-time job, would I still show up? And 9 out of 10, the answer is yes, because you show up with a headache, you show up with the flu, you show up with pneumonia. That's what people do. Good or bad, people still show up to work when they're not feeling good. But yet, when it's time to work your business, you're like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. No, that is what separates the people who move forward and the people who don't. Is you always show up, even more so for your business than you would for your job.
Absolutely. Because that's for you. When you show up for the job, you're showing up for somebody else.
Somebody else's journey.
So you need to show up for you.
That's it.
Well, thank you so much, Christi. We
welcome.
appreciate your time and everything you have laid on us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. These questions are good. I'm like, ooh, let me get myself together, because some of this I need to get back to doing myself.
We all do. I think with the end of the fiscal year coming, it's a good time to evaluate the year, what worked, what didn't work, what used to work that I stopped for whatever reason that I need to get back to. So it's that time for all of us.
You're right.
All right, y'all. So let's give a lot of hearts and likes for our upline, Christi Waller, this month's 6-figure spotlight speaker. Yay. Have a good night, y'all. Well, stay. We're going to talk some more right after this video.